so Jesus gave us a new norm of greatness. If you want to be important, wonderful. If you want to be recognized, wonderful. If you want to be great, wonderful. But recognize that he who is greatest among you shall be your servant. That's a new definition of greatness. This morning, the thing that I like about it, by giving that definition of greatness, it means that everybody can be great because everybody can serve.
We put out a nearby fire as we run through the fields of wheat and agriculture, and we are stopped by the presence of a young maiden who guards the estate of the sixth house of the Zodiac world, Virgo. Later in the video, we will take a look at what the maiden is holding in her basket to keep her grounded, inspired, and virginal. But what does lie in the deep recesses of her basket? Who is Virgo? Virgo, or Virgoans, depending on the system of astrology one follows, spans 150 degrees to 180 degrees of the zodiac's celestial longitude. Its origin is placed in many different mythologies, where most commonly share the idea of her being characterized as a virgin or a maiden, with heavy associations to wheat and agriculture. As the sixth sign of the zodiac, Virgo occurs during the calendar period of August 23rd to September 22nd, and is the second of the earth signs after Taurus, as well as having shared occupancy with Gemini on the ruling planet of Mercury. And though they have these shared ties, Virgos are quite different, as they tend to be more conservative, analytical, and organized. Virgos prefer to live within boundaries and borders, as they look for a more detailed and strictly defined life. Even in the midst of chaos, the mental space of Virgo is still very defined by order and structure. Michael Jackson, a Virgo, is quite guilty of this, as though his attire, and though his attire may have seemed very eccentric, he was quite conservative in his demeanor and the way he presented himself. And even if you listen to some of his songs, they may seem to have an air of chaos, but to watch him perform is to watch someone who has methodically orchestrated his entire performance like a skilled architect. I mean, even look at the dichotomy between the way he dresses and how he speaks. His clothing dictates that he's very boisterous and outlandish, but when he speaks, he's very shy and reserved and almost innocent. And then, of course, there is his construction of Neverland Valley Ranch, which was his world away from the world, detailed and organized, and put together the way he saw fit. Virgo's most primal desire is to create a world that is systematic in an effort to ground their reach towards the possession of more erratic behavior. They operate as a perfectionist, directing that everything in the world must be in its place. Virgos are quite careful and considered one of the most detail-oriented of the zodiac family, but are quite often misunderstood as well. Don't get it wrong, Virgos can be quite expressive, but they just don't accept that their feelings are valid when opposed to reason. The idea of the symbol of the Virgin sheds light on their carnal nature, as they often feel that they are on constant repeat as they experience life's travels, almost as if it's the first time, every time. But a Virgo's existence should never be slighted, because even though they tend to experience things in life as if it's the first time, a lot of this may come from the fact that Virgos seek for the good in mankind. So it's almost like they approach the world repeatedly over and over and over again, hoping and praying that at some point everything in this world will be right. But come on, just taking a look around, anyone with eyes could see, or even by simply turning on the news, you'll easily hear of the many, many disappointments of this world we live in. And unfortunately, so too does Virgo. Virgo energy emits a feeling and desire to march on a mission to establish good in the world, while helping others unfurl their most purest side in an effort to make for a better world and overall human experience. Hence the intro of Martin Luther King, where he spoke of the institution of service or the idea of being a servant. Very indicative of Virgo's nature as they seek to help others find their most purest side. At least that is the instinctful energy of a Virgo. The bulk of Michael Jackson's career is rooted in trying to make the world a better place. I mean, he even had a song called Heal the World. Heal the world, make it a better place. Yeah, yeah. You get it. He wanted to heal the world. But another famed Virgo that shared this similar sentiment would be the Roman Catholic named nun Saint Teresa of Calcutta, or as we commonly know her as Mother Teresa or Teresa. Mother Teresa founded a group considered the Missionaries of Charity, which, containing some 4,500 nuns, vowed to look over the sick of the world. Unfortunately, Virgos often find that the mission to create good in the world is usually a failed mission, which will put the Virgo to a more anti mission mentality where they seek privacy from others and pushing some to a place of substance abuse and other distracting and self destructive behaviors. An additional result of their disappointment is an instinctual need to criticize and judge others, and their critical tongue comes from a very harsh place. I mean, I'm sure when Michael Jackson was seeking relief with the use of fentanyl, God bless his soul, he was most likely talking smack about everyone and their imperfections, as he was the godfather of creating world peace. I mean, he wouldn't be able to say it publicly. People knew him as this man who wanted peace. They couldn't see the shady side of him. But, because as I said, the perfect nature of a Virgo will only allow for this outlandish harshness to occur in privacy, because they don't want to create chaos. They want to maintain chaos. I mean, just imagine a Michael Jackson shade moment. I don't think I can see it. You probably can't either. Virgos can be a bit serious as they prefer structure and strong moral tendencies. Their strong moral compass directs them to be very selective when involving themselves in the human world, as they can be secretive, very secretive, and less open to sharing with others. They don't trust a lot of people. Virgo is representative of that period between the ages of 35 to about 42 years of age. This is that period that some may consider midlife, or that time where people go through a midlife crisis, um, which can most likely explain Virgo's way of seeing things or how they see things through first timer eyes. As during this time in life, many seek a restart in life or a redo to right the wrongs. And during this time, one may find importance with the idea of structure as well, as opposed to 20 years prior, back when you were 16 and 21, where structure really didn't matter. But during this period of 35 to 42, you'll find structure to be more important and more relevant. And that's why the placement of Virgo is indicative of this age gap. And you can also find that during this period, you're also paving, a more settled path through the rest of life's journey. I mean, if you have a group of friends or relatives that are within this age group, you can probably atone for the fact that, or attest for the fact that they're settled. They either have the kids that they want to have, or they have the house that they want to have, or they're working on establishing those things, which is very common for people within this age group. Virgos are not dreamers. They don't let themselves go into worlds of fantasy. They are extremely realistic and goal driven, where they can fall into the artistry of great planning and hard work in an effort to achieve their goals, i.e., the goal of getting that first house, or creating that family, or having the career, or being in the position that you want to be career wise. Uh, in fact, this nature can go to Beyonce, a Virgo, which is a great example of a hard-working, goal-oriented Virgo. She proved this when she released her homecoming titled and themed performance at Coachella, which can be seen on Netflix. Go check it out. It was an in-depth look at what went into putting the whole show together. Everything from the planning to the work processes, everything that was required to put it together. And though at times it may have looked erratic with some of the choreography or the lighting, the documentary showed that all this was on purpose, as it was quite structured and everything was well planned out. And structure. This is indeed the happy place of the Virgo energy. I mean, don't get me wrong, sometimes they can ride the winds of spontaneity, but deep down, what they truly long for and what truly tickles them inside is structure. So even in those spontaneous moments, they're still going to be very structured. So if there is like a last minute decision to go to the movies or to go to a restaurant, they'll most likely be the one that's going to be eyes deep in their phone, checking out every online site, looking for movie times or restaurant reviews, everything, just to make sure that, despite the fact that it's spontaneous, that there's still some level of planning. Why so serious? Just let it go. Just a little. Virgos can be quite literal, and if you say something, anything, they expect you to stick to it. And it's usually this literalism that most often affects their sense of humor as well, as they take others' jokes for face value, as they tend to appeal to more witty jokes. Tea, anyone? But just know, not all y'all's like this, cause some of y'all is ghetto and prefer that silly, wacky humor. So don't be all sedity now, trying to walk around with teacups and fingers to the wind. Y'all need to get it together. Virgos are not that verbal, as they make silent demands. And a Virgo expects that their needs will be made known without even saying a word. Unless, of course, they are in trusted company where they can be quite expressive without restraint. while with others, they may control their emotions for the sake of appearing perfect and together. It's this polar opposite approach, or these opposite approaches, that welcome their mutability. Like I said before with Michael Jackson, his clothing is very outlandish, but to speak to him is to speak to someone who's very reserved and very innocent and very shy. So this is where their mutability is. They're not going to share who they are or share their energy or their expressiveness with everyone. It's usually only going to be with those that they trust. But what makes the maiden's agriculture grow? Virgo and its position as the second earth sign with a ruling from Mercury gives way to a more mutable nature like Gemini. But as said before, that co occupancy on Mercury does not make them the same as Gemini. So don't get it mistaken. Geminis characteristically pull from the speed and independent qualities of Mercury, where Virgo fuses with the more serving nature of Mercury. With that, it would be fair to say that their motto would be, I serve. But the Virgin Maiden may want to pick up some classes at Michael's to make some energy driven jewelry with stones like amethyst. Amethyst can help in calming stress levels, especially when things are not moving in an orderly fashion. They need order. And Virgo should beware of heightened stress levels as it could lead to extreme stomach aches or even bad dreams. But don't worry, these can both be warded off with the use of carnelian. When looking to build upon one's self confidence or vitality, inspiration can be found with the qualities of pyrite. But if you're not too into stone therapy, the use of certain conservative colors like silver, the more structured form of silver, not the bright fancy, the more like muted form of silver that you find in nature, indigo and dark violet can be quite inspiring and helpful. Like the other signs before it, Virgos must also pay close attention to certain body areas like the abdomen, small and large intestines, pancreas, spleen, and the metabolic system. And as a sign that is linked to agriculture, the harvesting of specific trees and vines may prove to be quite inspirational and effective as well. Those born between August 24th and September 1st may want to start looking to plant some hazel, almond, or apple trees, as these can be inspirational, while those born between September 2nd and September 22nd may want to consider the planting of some grapevine or blackberry. And then those born during the fall equinox cusp, which starts September 22nd and on, may want to plant some white poplar or aspen. But if you're not much of a gardener and would prefer to leave that to others, you can easily find these while out and about in nature as well. But if you prefer to lock yourself away from the wicked world and the unruly and unstructured mankind, just hit up your local florist and see if they have stock of certain plants like wintergreen, sage, and privet to build inspiration. Maybe you could put them out around your home while listening to some inspirational music, especially the use of keys or compositions that contain C major and D flat major show to be effective. But if you are in need of other ideas on how to create a more structured world, just look to your other fellow Virgoans like Catholic missionary Mother Teresa, one of the original WO7s, Sean Connery, Riverdale's Betty Cooper, Lily Reinhart, champion and frontliner for Queen, the late Freddie Mercury, acrobatic rock star, singer, songwriter Pink, newly crowned Duke of Sussex Prince Harry, from Disney fame to fashion icon Zendaya, singer, songwriter, and baby brother of the Jonases, Nick Jonas, basketball great Kobe Bryant, Lil Xan, rapper and songwriter, who, side note, happened to get his name from the drug Xanax. I guess he didn't get the memo on how Virgos can be drawn to substance abuse. Just saying. The legendary perfectionist mega star icon, the late silver diamond gloved one himself, Michael Jackson, and of course the queen, perfection, and mega star in her own right, Beyonce, as well as many others. And with that, we are brought to a close on Virgo. Did what you hear make sense? Did you hear anything new, or have you heard it all before? Either way, it would be great if you pounded that like button, and also be sure to share this video with friends. And of course, if you want to hear more from what this channel has to offer, be sure to go ahead and subscribe and follow. And don't forget to put on notifications so that you will be first in line when a new video is released. Stay tuned to more in-depth interpretations as we look at the astrological signs on a deeper level. And be sure to be on the lookout for our Virgo series, where we take a look into each maiden's basket a little closer. Can we uncover new things about your being or your personality, Virgo? Well, stay tuned and find out. And don't forget to check us out on Facebook and Instagram for daily updates and information. And remember, the stars are always watching.